Hey, people. I was telling y'all about this turtle that showed up at my door about 2 weeks ago. We hadn't had rain in many months this summer. I caught him at my door, and he acted like he was asking for something to eat. So I found this old salsa in the fridge to give him. And he was liking it. He ate almost all of it. So I was worried about him, how that salsa would react. And he come back about 3 days later, and all I had was some bread. So I give him some bread. So about 3 days later he comes, and he comes right up to the fridge, and I can see what he was saying. He preferred the salsa. He seen me get the salsa out the fridge. I didn't have no salsa, but I sure went back to the Mexican joint and got some fresh salsa for him. And so he come back another 3 days later, about 3-4 days ago, and I fed him a little salsa. And so this morning I wake up, about 7 o'clock in the morning, he's knocking on the door. He's pushing stuff around out here trying to make some racket to wake me up. He's wanting some more of that salsa. So I let him have the rest of that salsa. I have to go back to the Mexican place and get him some more. But like he really likes some tomatoes. So I imagine he caught up with that rabbit, and that rabbit told him that I can understand most all language. So he thought he'd come try me out, see if I could understand turtle. So if you believe any bit of the Bible, you might believe that people used to live to be 500s and 1,000 years old back in the day. But if you look at it in the Greek, it tells a different story. And this word is Pentecousian. And it's an old sailor's word. And it says involve, W, and when, W-H-N, and when, know it on. Pentecousian. And so Pentecost isn't 500. Pentecost is 50. Pentecost is 7 weeks. 7 weeks is 49, and then the 50th day. So this is the story of Noah, and this is the story of the white dove. And so all these feasts that they have, it's always been a fast. First comes the fast, and then comes the feast. And so they got this one now set up. It's a couple different holidays. One of them's Jewish, and the Catholics give it 50 days after Easter. And this is the story of the 7 by 7. The male and female 7 by 7, arson and the loo. And that's the cleansing period. The kitchen to unclean. The clean kitchen means there's no meat in the kitchen. And so you fast, you stay away from the meat for 50 days or 7 by 7. And you see it more plainly in the Hebrew in EVE, to have a meat, M-E-E-T, and have meat here. And take, your intake, to take, and take less, LC, less, the less of Saba. And so this is the ancient sailor's term, and now we just call it PCOD. And what it means is the pussy cutoff date. So over here in the Mediterranean, most of all those countries, prostitution's still legal. So when you're finished with your tour, you know what day you're going to get home. It only takes 2 weeks to get across the Med, but it's going to take 30 days to cure the clap. It's going to take the other 18 days to get your lab results in to see if you caught something. So 50 days before you come back is your PCOD, yes, your Pentecost. It's just to clean the kitchen. To clean the kitchen so you don't bring a disease back to America. And so that's what's going on, in this story of Noah. Noah was a sailor. We can't deny that, And when know it on, when you know when you're going to be back, when know it on, the 50, the Pentecost, the 50 yawn is a day, a period of light is a yawn. And the 50 days, far from 500 years. And when you know it on the 50 days. And the Jenna Jester, the double N makes that a N-I, N-J. And the Jester in is Viost is by who's it, by Hoost on submit, the submit on come what on jacket. That means for 50 days, you're going to be submitting come what on a jacket. You're going to have to self-serve. And so this is some knowledge that got passed down, but it actually come from the king's wives knew. They would clean these girls up before they brought them in. And on that 50-day period, the Pentecousian. And so that's what's going on with the raven and the dove. First, at the end of 40 days, you send out the raven. And it really doesn't say, and returning until he dried up the waters from the earth. But it does say in there. And then after that, that's when he sent out the dove from himself to see. And so the dove is June, June, which is Greek for the gina, the gonna, the wife, the one you're gonna do, the gina. The symbol of the white dove means you're clean. You can go home now. It's like during COVID when they were taking people from the airport and putting them in a safe storage to make sure they didn't spread nothing, and gave them a couple of weeks in the safe store until they got the dove, the clearance. And he sent out the crow to ID in they less appeal. The K followed by the E becomes the L, L-E-C-O-P-A-L-E, the less appeal to water. And going forth, and it returned not until the drying of the water from the earth, upon the sedges, this edges, and a fast they'll let in, and a fast they will it in. What they'll do, a fast they'll let in fear is it ran a office of two ID in, the identification in, the ID in they, and less of all it to water. The L-E-C-O-F-A-L-E, and the less of all it to water. Apothesages. This is coming from the sedges, the writers. But that's, away this gis. Gis is a location. When you're going to leave this place. This gis. So if you caught my last several movies, you should be ready for this wickedness of man now. And you better understand what this means. And if I was to put all this in one movie, the movie would take 4 hours for 7 days. It would take a 30-hour movie to get everybody up to par as much as they change the language. But so the next one, I'm going to read about why Heinevin comes the motion. Who willed know it some at come what if. And so it's the story of what if. And so this line right here tells you that there is no truth to this story of the Nephilim. It's just the story of what if. And so that'll be the next movie. Good day.